My name is Barbara Andreasen, and I am 97 years old, and I was born in Appleton, Minnesota, and we lived in town for a little while, and then we eventually moved to the farm. Oh, well, we dug around the trees. Not around the trees. We just drowned down by the roots and made a circle and put little piles and then one time we got brave and went down to one of the houses where we had chickens, and we took a couple of eggs and took them to our little circle and made mud pies with the eggs until Mother found out. But that was about all. And then we used to hide in the grove all the time. In the summertime, it was cool in there, you know. I mean, in the grove trees were close to each other, and so it was a nice place to hide. My mother just decided that we were old enough to do something, and so she kind of said, okay, you two can decide what you want to do. And I was older than Margaret, so I just kind of bossed her and told her, you can do the cooking and I'll do the cleaning. And so I went upstairs and supposedly cleaned the boys' bedrooms, and there was a children's program on the radio, and so I would get up there and listen to it and not do my cleaning until the very last minute when Mother yelled at me it was time to come down, and I was through cleaning in 5 minutes instead of taking an hour. Oh, and that was part of the thing with going to clean upstairs in the basement, upstairs, and part of that was to clean the lamps, and we had a lamp, you know, that you had a lamp in the bedrooms so that you could see, and down in the living room you had a lamp. And it was a fancy one. It had a mantle in it, and you know, and we could see pretty good with it. Our homework, we sometimes had to get pretty close to the lamp, and but filling them with kerosene, ooh, it was awful. I hated that. And you'd spill some over on the side, and it would, you know, smell. I can still hate that smell. But it had to be done, so we did it. So that's when we had no plumbing. We didn't need plumbing. We didn't have any water. We didn't have any electricity, you know, and we had a little outhouse just about half a block from the house that you could go to the bathroom. And at night, if you had to go, we had a little pot that was there that you could use that. And but it was, I don't know how my mother ever did it. I mean, to live without electricity and without running water, and she was used to water and electricity because they lived in town for quite a while. I don't know how long they lived in town, but they lived there for quite a while, and you know, so she was used to all these. And then to come out to the farm to have no electricity and no running water, and that's the way they lived, well, for 30 years, because it was too expensive to try and get the electricity from wherever it was, to, you know, to bring the pipes and everything for electricity. And I don't know. I'm sure that we wouldn't be able to do it today. We had a big furnace in the living room, and well, in the dining room, because we didn't use the living room, that was the fancy room, and so that was just for company, and so we had this big, we might say kind of a potbelly stove, because I can remember standing in front of it with my pajamas on, getting ready to run upstairs, because we had stairs, and get into my bed. And if it was cold enough, we had not just warm blanket or something to keep us warm. The oldest boys had gone to war. My two brothers, had gone to war, and I had one brother still left at home, because he couldn't go to war, because he had to stay home and help Dad farm. And I don't know what he was doing, but I ended up driving the tractor in front of the binder for my dad, and I did that. And then I drove the tractor to cultivate the corn, which didn't please Dad too much, because every time I turned around the corner, I took some of the corn with me. And so he wasn't too happy with me. And then I also drove the tractor for haying. When we had the haying, I drove the tractor for the machine all the time. That was a couple years, I guess, I did that. Just in the summer, because I think one time, I'd gone to school, to a college, and I was home for the summer. Oh, that was Margie, and I didn't know her very well until I went to high school, because then I went to town school, and she did too, and she was also a farm girl. When we graduated from high school, we went to college together, to the same college, and all friends all the time we were there. When we grew up, yeah, we were Lutherans, and my dad was a very good man. He saw to it we went to church, and he went to church. Now, my mother, for some reason, didn't go to church. I think she stayed home to cook the dinner. But I'm not sure, she was a strong Lutheran too, but for some reason she didn't go to church on Sunday, but Dad always took us, and we stayed for the sermon, and once in a while, one Sunday it was Norwegian, and Dad would stay for the Norwegian service, and he found out it was Norwegian. He would take us to my grandmother, who lived in town, and so we stayed there while he went to Norwegian service in church. And Grandma always gave us a little snip of wine, because she made wine. They had choke cherries, and so Grandma made choke cherry wine, and she would give us a little bit. A little bit, not much. I had 3 older sisters and 3 older brothers, and then I had 1 younger sister. I guess you could say it was fun growing up. My 2 older sisters, by the time we had moved to the farm, the oldest one was actually teaching school out in the country, and I think maybe a year or so, my next sister went to nursing school in Minneapolis, and so I didn't see much of them. And Ione was the last sister, and she was a little unhappy at having to do all the work at home because I was too little and Margaret wasn't there yet. And the boys did all the work out, worked outside in the farm and didn't do anything in the house. We didn't walk to school so much. I think Dad took us, but we often walked home from school. And it was close to 2 miles, and we had to walk home. But if it snowed and it was so bad, my dad had the sleigh out, and he'd have bricks down on the bottom, keep us warm, and he would take us to school because he figured schooling was important. And so, as I said before, that I went to that school from first grade to 8th grade, and then I went to the town school in Appleton. My dad always had breakfast, and mother always had dinner at night, and we were always there, ready to eat. And Sunday night at my house, at my parents' house, was very slim. Mother didn't do much cooking on Sunday night. She, as I said before, she actually stayed home and fixed dinner at noon, and then at night she didn't have any. Maybe my dad liked cream over milk, cream and sugar over bread. That was my dad's favorite. They lived for so many years without running water and electricity.
Okay.
I think this is important that the people today know that this is how they lived, and how these people, the young kids today, they would never be able to live like my mother and father did. And I think I would like them to know what it's like to be able to live without water. And, I think my mother, and especially I don't remember my dad so much, but my mother living and cooking and doing all the things that she did without electricity, without water, running water. And she had to live through all this, and I think the kids need to know that. They didn't have electricity until basically after I was married, and so I didn't really, when I came home after I was married, and here I had water, and they had built a bathroom, and I thought, oh, wonderful, fine, great. It's a wonderful thing for mother and dad to have this, But for me, personally, to see it actually come about, I don't know, I guess I didn't think about it, but, but mom and dad just, I don't know, just amazes me. Electricity, I remember we were there one time for vacation. Well, they had electricity, but they didn't have anything to go with it, really. And so we bought them a little electric fan. They refused to use it because they weren't used to it, But that was mom and dad. My mother was pregnant with my sister, and my dad had gone to some meeting, and mother was due any time, and she called the telephone, or used the telephone, made a telephone call, and you had to call, made a call, so the neighbors weren't to hear, because they could pick up the receivers wherever they lived. And mother went to the phone and called for dad. He came to the phone, and she said to him, "You better come home. We're having company."